2, 1. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year!
Have you ever looked at all the gear musicians use and wonder, how does it all work? My name's Dustin, and my family and I are setting out on a quest to inspire both adult and kid musicians to create new sounds together and learn all about what it takes to produce great music. We'd like to invite you along on the journey as we explore the gear professional studios, musicians, and hobbyists use to create their art. We'll take a close-up look at the gear and ask,
what's this button do?
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of What's This Button Do? I'm your host, Dustin, and we are so excited to be joining you the day after Christmas to celebrate an amazing 2023 and to give you a little sneak preview of what's about to happen in 2024. But first of all, I want to say thank you so much from me, from Aria, from the whole family for joining us each and every week, for those who have, and for those who haven't. Anytime that you come out and watch an episode, we hope that you're getting something from this. We just love sharing the gear and the fun and hopefully inspiring you to get creative out there in writing your music. So we hope that you're getting some of that from the show, and we want to thank you so much for spending your time with us. Now, next year, things are going to change up a little bit. So I wanted to let everybody know what was happening. We're going to be changing the format just a little bit. I'm still going to be doing gear demos. We're still going to be looking at new products and musical equipment. But I want to take it a little bit different direction, because one of the things that I think is so special about guitar pedals and effects and just unique pieces of gear in this industry is where I find my inspiration for new sounds and for creativity and for writing music. And my goal with this show the whole time has been to help you to find that same kind of inspiration. And I know some of you have commented and sent me private messages, and I'm so excited every time I get those and you tell me, hey, I wrote this new song because of this, and the stuff you've sent over has been amazing, and I cannot thank you enough. Please keep sharing that. And I hope that what we're about to do with the series allows you to do that even more. What we're going to start doing is we're going to pick a few pieces of gear every month, and we are going to actually write brand new songs with them. Ari is going to write some lyrics. We're going to use a few things I'm going to show you in a few minutes to help us write the music. And by the end of the year next year, our goal is to, on Christmas Day, release an album of all the songs that we've written throughout the year that have been inspired by different gear, pedals, different things that we've come across throughout the year. And some will be new, some will be old, but the music will be entirely original and entirely a brand new thing. And we're going to invite you on the journey. We're going to have some collaborative efforts throughout the year. We're going to be bringing in a lot of specialists and experts to help give us some advice. And we'll be sharing all of that with you. And we'd like to encourage you, as we go down this journey, for you to take the same journey. I know a lot of us as musicians, we get so busy in our practicing and with our daily lives that we never get a chance to sit down and write new music. I know I've been like that for the last year. I've been so busy getting the show off the ground and doing my regular day job and being a dad. It's hard to find time to just write. So that's my goal, is I'm going to set that for myself, is next year by Christmas time, Ari and I are going to have a little EP of music to put out for everyone to be able to hear. But to do that, it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it's also going to take some knowledge and some skills that I don't possess. Luckily, a few weeks ago, I shot an episode about my favorite ideas for Christmas presents for this year. And I mentioned a product my wife got me about a year ago from a brand called Nosiy Clan. And it was this little decoder here. And we're going to take a little close-up look at this because the folks over at Nosiy Clan reached out to me and they wanted to help with this journey. And so they offered to send a few other products for me to test out to use for songwriting. And I thought, the stuff that I've seen from them has been so amazing. I wanted to share it with you. They didn't ask me to do this. I wanted to do it because this is what we're going to be using a lot next year. So I thought, what better way for any of you who happen to have gotten a little extra something at Christmas, or maybe for anybody looking for last minute Christmas presents or gifts for family and friends in the new year. I am so impressed with this product. I wanted you to see it, and I wanted you to see how we're going to be using it in the new year. So I'm going to hop over to the demo board real quick, and I'm going to show you what we're going to be doing. All right, so we're going to take a look at a couple of my favorite things that Nosiy Clan have manufactured. The first is this decoder, and this is from the Circle of Fifths. And for those who don't know music theory, there is this theory called the Circle of Fifths. That's a little chart, it's a round chart. And I have looked at this thing a bazillion times. If you Google it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It when you look at it, it seems complicated as all get out. It always confused me. I could never figure it out. And I know some of you who understand it are going to be like, Dustin, you're an idiot. Why didn't you? But trust me, I have been playing for a long time, and it always drove me nuts having to sit there and try to figure things out. What Nosiy Clan have done is taken the Circle of Fifths and simplified it into an easy to read and understandable system. So what you've got here is this rotating wheel here. So you can see when I move my finger across here, it's going to change everything up here. And you'll see there's 5 windows up here, a little window right in the middle, and 3 windows down at the bottom. What this does is teach you music theory in a nutshell and simplifies it down to such an easy level that anyone can understand it. So for a beginning guitarist, it's phenomenal. And for an advanced guitarist, honestly, this is super handy as well to just have in your studio when you're playing along and just want to be reminded of things. It's amazing. So what we do is the first thing you think about is the key that you want your song written in. So say we're going to do something simple like the key of C. C is a pretty common one. We scroll over to C and we set our first note to C, right? So we know that the number 1 chord in our key is C. Now, what this chart does is it then also tells you using what's called the Nashville numbering system, because essentially a key will have 7 chords that are the considered right chords to play within that key, right? And Nashville takes it and they number them. So they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 being your main chord, 2 being the first minor. If you're in a major key up here, then you've got your D minor down here, your E minor down here, and then that's 2 and 3. Then 4 will be the F chord, 5 will be the G chord, 6 will be what's called the relative minor. And this comes into music theory. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But essentially what you need to know is the relative minor is the 6. And then the 7th is a diminished chord. Now the 7th can be one of those that a lot of people won't play. They won't mess around with it, but it creates tension. And it allows you to move into the original chord and kind of come back. I love using diminished chords. They're really fun. They're weird, but I do like a diminished chord here and there to have some fun and make your song sound a little bit different. So those are considered the 7 right chords to play when you're in a key, right? But what's neat is there's a lot of times that there are other chords that will still sound good. And so what they've also done is included 2 other chords. So in the key of C, for instance, the D chord in the B flat chord will also work with this. So you can play those notes, you can play those chords, and they'll still sound right given the right part of the song and given the right way that you use them. You can make those chords sound really good. So it gives you a couple other ideas that wouldn't necessarily be considered in the key, but they'll work with that key and they can make your songs more interesting. So super fun right off the bat, just to give you an idea, because you can sit there and go, you know what? I'm going to take 3 of these, and you can pick any 3 notes you want and try to make a song out of them. And you can start off you writing that way. They've even gone a step further, and on the back of this, there's a little thing down here called chord progressions. And what it does is it gives you a random chord progression to try out. So in this case, it says, try the 1, 4, 5. That's one of the most standard chord progressions of all time. But again, if we rotate this like we were going to change the key, you can see it gives you some different ideas. So like the 1, 7, 6, 5 or the 4, 7, 1. It just gives you a lot of different ideas to just break you out of that standard rut that you've been in songwriting. And for those who are trying songwriting the first time, it just gives you a little inspiration to try to mix things up and try something new. Now you'll notice on the back here, there's also these little snaps. This is another really clever thing. So what they've done is they've created this little snap that folds over and then snaps back onto itself. So now you can stand this up on your desk and have it sitting there facing you wherever you're playing music. So I like to keep one of these on top of my amp when I'm writing guitar parts, because I can sit there and look at it for quick reference and decide, okay, we're in the key of A. I want to try out a B minor here and just see what happens and mess around with it. So you can do all sorts of fun things like that to try and mix it up, change it around a little bit, and just do something to get you out of that rut that you're in. That, I think, is one of the most clever and amazing inventions that I've ever seen. Now, when I first bought mine, this is all it was. It was just a little case like this. Now, since mine has come out, they've actually added in a book that comes with it. And this is about a 75-page book that actually goes through and explains all of the different terminology and simplifies it. So if you're really wanting to learn more about music theory and you're wanting to understand, like, for instance, I think there's a really fun one on the 7th chord when we go into, or even diminished chords. It'll actually talk a little bit when you open it up about what a diminished chord is, why it's important, and kind of the idea of the sound itself, why you might want to play that chord. It's a very simplified book. You'll notice this is not a ton of explanation. It doesn't go overboard. This is just a really well-written book that gives you a good idea of how to use these things without making it too complicated, too difficult, anything over the top. Now, Dustin, you might be saying, I'm newer to this. You're talking music theory here. That's kind of scary. I don't want to go that overboard. That's okay. So Nosiy Clan is about to launch a brand new product. Now this, I saw it on Amazon the other day. They made an announcement that it was going to launch on January the 9th. I'll put a link to their Amazon listing down below in the description of the video so that you guys can see a link to it. But this is kind of a supplemental product to go along with their decoder. But it's so much more than that. So what they do is they call it the little cheat sheets for guitar. When you open this up, the first thing you'll notice on the inside of this, they have a chord formula that shows you kind of basic chord shapes to start off with, major, basic sevenths, advanced sevenths, and suspended chords. So these are kind of those more advanced chords that you're going to get to later on in your learning as you start off. But what's amazing with this is you've got these little cheat sheets in here, and there's 4 different ones. There's a scales cheat sheet, there's a chords cheat sheet, there's a keys cheat sheet, and there's a triads cheat sheet. All of these have a ton of uses, but I want to walk you through them each real quick because they're really, really cool. So on the keys cheat sheet, this kind of goes back to the decoder that we were just talking about. If you've been using your decoder and say we are in the key of G on our decoder, so it says G is the 1, C is the 4, D is the 5 chord. This little cheat sheet here, you can come to the G column and it will actually show you up here. You've got it numbered 1 through 7, just like the other Nashville numbering system. You can see exactly how to play each of those chords from a basic starting position on the deeper end of the fretboard on your guitar. So this gives you what we call the cowboy chords. It shows you all of your chords so you can play along with your decoder. And over here you've got each one of the keys, and when you flip it over you'll actually see a copy of the circle of fifths, which is what the main sheet is based off of, and you'll actually be able to see a lot of that same data here. So let's set this in the key of C, and you can kind of see that C, F, and G, those are your 1, 4, and 5 chords right there. And it kind of shows you the minors along there as well as the diminished chord to play along with it. So really, really cool. If you don't have the decoder and you want to just have a cheat sheet, here's a nice little cheat sheet to go along with it, and it kind of shows you how that shape works. So that's fun. Then it goes even further in the chords sheet, and this starts to show you different types of chords to play. So within the key of A, for instance, you've got your A major, your A minor, your major 7th, your 7th chord, the minor 7th, and the diminished 7th, or the diminished. Remember we were talking about that little chart earlier about a more advanced chords. That's what's nice, is it gives you starting chords to learn how to play, and then more advanced chords if you want to get a little bit funkier and make your music a little different and to play along with the decoder. And then same thing on the back, you start getting into some of the other chords and how to play those, as well as a fretboard chart down here that shows you every note on the fretboard up to the 14th fret of your guitar. So a great way to, visualize and memorize the fretboard. Now the scales chart is also really cool. And this is something that for those who have never gotten into music theory, when you first start out, you're going to learn some basic things. And most of the time, if you take lessons at all, they're going to teach you something called the pentatonic scale. And I will tell you, it's a simplified scale, and it's a very easy scale to learn. And it has a very prominent, noticeable shape that is used in so much of rock and roll. this is the ultimate starting position for any guitarist to learn. And down here at the bottom, you'll actually see a little chart of the minor pentatonic scale. And what it's basically telling you is this is your first note. It says start here if you're doing it in a major pentatonic, start here if you're doing it in a minor pentatonic. So depending on if you want the song to sound sad or happy, you start here or here. And then essentially it just walks you through 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and tells you which notes to play. And basically all of these notes, anything that's dotted there is going to sound good together and will play well together. That shape is the foundation of so much music. It is absolutely amazing. But that's one scale, one very simple scale. All of that is based on the major scale and the minor scale. And what they've done is they've also included a major blues scale, a minor blues scale, and then on the backside, the regular major scale, the major pentatonic, the natural minor, and the minor pentatonic scale, all the way up and down the fretboard. And I know a lot of you who are not into theory are going, oh, Dustin, this sounds really complicated. It is not. They've simplified this down so easy that really all you have to do is just follow the charts and play those notes. It doesn't matter. You don't have to put a name to them. What I like is because they're using the Nashville numbering system on here, it's kind of just telling you, chord number 1 is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. If you're using this in combination with the decoder will tell you what those notes are because it's numbered each one of them for you. So if you know you're playing in the key of C, then your number 1 note is going to be C. So everywhere you see a 1 on here or that black dot, that's going to be a C when you're playing in the key of C. So it's a really, really, really handy chart to reference with your decoder. But the most important of all the sheets in here, in my opinion, and the piece that I wish I would have had when I first started out is the triad sheet. The triad sheet shows you the foundation of chords, because when we all start out with guitar, one of the first things you're going to learn is power chords. And there's going to be a mix of opinions on this, and I'm going to get yelled at. I'm sure there's going to be some seriously negative comments down here on the bottom for me, but I'm going to say this right now. Power chords are the foundation to guitar. To me, that should be the first thing you learn. You need to learn power chords. You need to learn their position on the neck. And most of that revolves around the low E string and the A string. If you can learn all of the notes on those two strings, and you learn the shape of power chords, you can play any chord on a guitar just knowing those two things. It's very simple. It's not advanced music theory. It's just a very, very easy lesson to learn, and these charts will help you with that. But the reason that power chords are so amazing and so powerful is they're movable. If you learn this one shape to make with your hands, you can move it up and down the neck on your fretboard and play every chord that you could possibly want to play. What I didn't realize when I first started out with guitar is chords are all essentially made up of 3 notes. There's an important process to creating a chord within music theory, and I'm not going to deep dive into that. Like I said, I don't want you to get bogged down in music theory with this, but the real truth behind the matter is to make a chord, you need 3 notes. And what's beautiful is there's a thing called triads. And when you play those 3 notes together, you essentially are creating a chord. And you can play those notes individually to make them sound separate and they'll sound really good together, or you can play them at the same time and they create this unison chord. Well, what they've done on this chart is they've provided you with different shaped triads that you can play, that you can move up and down the neck. So take, for instance, this very first one. If you play these 3 strings on your guitar open, and you're in standard tuning, that's a G chord. You just played a G chord just by playing those 3 strings. You don't even have to put a finger on the fretboard. You've played a G chord. If you move down to the 5th fret and you put your finger across those 3 frets and you play them, you've now played a C chord. And then if you slide up to the 7th fret and you play that exact same shape, you've now played the D chord. So in using that one standard shape, which we would normally call the A chord shape, because that's how you play an A in cowboy chords, you've now literally played a 1-4-5 song, and all you had to know was to move your finger like this up and down the fretboard and just hold down those 3 strings. And it sounds good and it works. There's all sorts of different movable shapes like that. And this chart kind of walks through all these different ways to move up and down the fretboard and create those chords using 3-note patterns called triads. And then on the back side of it, what they do is they actually walk up and down the fretboard to show you on a standard fretboard all the different shapes you can make to make the exact same chord based on where you're playing at. And the black dot on here just means that's your root note. So if whatever note you're wanting to play, you basically go find that note on the guitar, and then you play these other two chords with, or these other two notes with it, and you're going to have a chord there. So it's a really, really cool way to assemble chords in your mind and to visualize that without getting lost in the music theory, without having to understand you're playing like an E over 7, or E over B, flat 7 diminished, all those things that confuse you and just make it hard to understand. This simplifies that and just lets you start making music and writing music without having to get lost in what you're actually playing. Listen to the sounds and find those sounds. And then eventually you can use these charts to give those sounds words to describe them. And that's, I think, what Nosiy Clan has done so well, is they've taken a 100-page music theory book and simplified it into 4 really easy to memorize and learn cheat sheets. And now you can get started with those with no music theory knowledge whatsoever. That's why I think every guitarist needs these, no matter what skill level you're at. These are great refreshers and great ways to look at things in a new light to make you understand differently. And for anyone out there who is new to guitar and doesn't have formal training in music theory, I will tell you, this has been one of the most amazing products to help me better myself as I learn how to assemble chords and create new chords. I've been more inspired in the last 2 weeks since this arrived than I have in years. So I will stand behind this 100%. I think what Nosiy Clan is doing here is genius. And if you want to get in, again, they're not paying me for this. This is just me being honest. I really, really love this. So I'll put a link down to that where to get these at. And like I said, check out their website, because most of this information is also available on there for free for you to look at, take a look at, absorb it. They do a really, really good job of that. In fact, I wanted to take a moment to hop over to Nosiy Clan's website, because there's some really cool things on here that I wanted you to see and know about. Is the one thing, in talking to the staff over there, I had a really great conversation with Joe. These guys are not about making money. Sure, they're a business. They've got to make money to stay in business, but they are very much about sharing their knowledge, sharing their experience, sharing their tools. So on their website itself, they've actually uploaded a section. When you first go on there and you go to like play more, over here they have a little place for you to sign up for an email list, but they've got blogs almost weekly that have all of the data and the stuff that I've shown you on here actually ready to go. So you can go through here and it will show you all the stuff that I've been showing you on these sheets. And you can download this, you can print it off. It's free. They do not mind. Now, would I still rather have the sheets? Absolutely. They're not that expensive. I think the Decoder pack is like $26. That new pack of cheat sheets is like $15. It's worth spending the money on. I want to support these guys, so I'm of course going to buy them. But if you're a little strapped for cash, you don't have the money to do that, they don't mind. They're glad to share this information with you for free, and they put a ton of stuff on here. They have tons of knowledge in this, so they really are amazing at helping break down music theory and knowledge to the nth degree. They have such skill and such a great way of wording things in a simplistic way where you don't feel like you're getting lectured to by a professor. You feel like this is a person who understands lay terms and wants to help everyone understand how to play guitar. That's what they're so good at. I'm so blown away by that. But the fact that they put all this information up here, easy to use, easy to find, simplified, it's just such a cool thing for them to do. And the other thing that I think is really cool is if you go into the products and you go to like the Decoder to check it out, they've actually got a digital version of it for free. You can go in here, click on the digital side, switch it around, and it's going to show you exactly what the Decoder is going to do. So if, again, you can't afford to get one yourself, they don't hide this behind a paywall. This is free for everyone. They want people playing music. They want people to grow their skills. And to me, that is such an awesome thing. I'm just blown away by it. So kudos to them. Kudos to the product. I think it's amazing. Soon, I'm actually going to order some of their stands for myself. Their grandstand series looks amazing. I'm going to actually pick up one of these so we can do some pedals on them in a horizontal way to make it a little bit easier for everybody to see what I'm doing when I'm adjusting the knobs on pedals. So I'll be ordering one of these in the coming year. But I did pick up one of their Weestands. This is actually a really cool product. It's and I'll kind of show it to the camera here. This is a collapsible music stand. My son was a sax player in high school, and the thing that always drove us nuts was hauling around his stand. It just didn't fit in anything. You couldn't put it in a sax case. Well, they've made this little tiny box right here, right? And here's how simple this is. It's got a little opening door here, and then there's 2 little clips right down here for you to be able to clip your paper into. And then this sheet right here has a clip under it, so you can slide music papers underneath that. And then you even have clips here, so if you have a single sheet of paper, you can put it there. And then it's got 3 legs that come out right here. You just pull these legs out, pull them taut so that they're nice and tight. And then on the back of it, you'll see it's got these little clips right by the carrying strap here. You just clip out the 2 side legs, and then you've got your music stand right here standing up, ready to rock and roll. And if you're a horn player and you've got to be standing up, or maybe you're playing a little taller instrument, like an upright bass, you can adjust this so that it moves upwards as well. It's such a clever idea. And then you can go down, lay down your sheet of music or whatever it is that you're working on there, and you've got it right there, easy to use. It's such a cool idea. I'm in love with it. So I just keep this in the stand. That way, if I am practicing somewhere out, or if I want to take any of these decoder sheets with me, throw them down where they're easy to spot, especially if I'm standing up playing and I want to mess around, it's really great. And then to put everything down, all you do is smack it on the ground, collapse it all down, you're good to go. You can throw this in your backpack. You can throw it in a little carrying case. It just will fit anywhere. And it's even got a little strap so you can attach it to the side of your backpack. Such a clever idea. That's what these guys are all about. It's all about making music simple and taking away those barriers to entry so that people don't feel like it's a chore to play music. And if there's one thing that goes after my soul, it's anytime I can make the barrier to entry easier and to just jump right into it and get inspired and be able to play music. That's what I want in my product. So well done, Nosiy Clan. Thank you so much. Well, everyone, there you go. I hope that gives you a kind of a fun idea of what Nosiy Clan is all about. Like I said, these guys, the products that they make are absolutely amazing, but the people there are really what makes it. They truly are some of the nicest, most amazing people. I'm so amazed by what they've done here, and I think you're going to be seeing a lot of their products in the future on the show. We're going to be using them as we do songwriting. And please, for those who have questions about this, want to know more, hit me up. I'm glad to help out, give you an idea. Again, this is not a paid sponsorship. They did not pay me anything to say anything about these products. I genuinely, absolutely love them, and I wanted to share them with you. So I hope that it's inspired you. And for those who don't buy them, please, I'm urging you, go out to their website, take a look at those online tools that they have for free. You will be amazed. Just read some of the articles in the blog. The article that they wrote about the diminished seventh chord, that turned me on. That was a chord I always was afraid of because it wasn't something that was in my standard knowledge. And I'm like, well, what's so big about this? They made me start playing with that, and it has opened up a whole new world of sound. So I urge you, go out there, read some of those, and I think you'll get a whole new appreciation for music theory and for how easy it really can be. It's just no one to this point has ever been able to explain it to me in a way that did not terrify me like they have. So I'm super excited, and I want to get to share that with you in the future. So please go check that out if you have time. I hope it inspires you, helps you to find some inspiration. Check out their website. It's just, I'll put a little link down here at the bottom for you too. We will continue to kind of find new products like that next year, explore them to make our songwriting journey easier. It's going to be a really, really fun year. So I can't wait to see you then. We're going to kick off the year next week by taking a look at a father and daughter builder called Reeves Electro. And Reeves has been around for a while, but he recently had his daughter Izzy join him, and she has been making a series of pedals, and she just released one called the Facet Fuzz, and it is one of the coolest, fuzz pedals, kind of fuzz face inspired, but it's so much better. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to talk about that next week, and that's actually going to be the first pedal that we use it for some inspiration to start writing our first song. So can't wait to see y'all next week. Hope you join us then to take a look at it. Until then, please, as always, visit our friends over at Palen Music. I know they'd love to have you. They're great people, great friends. I'm hoping someday I can talk them into carrying some of these Nosiy Clan products because I think they'll be really good for them. But we'll see how that goes. But as always, I want to thank them for being there for me this year and for being such a great friend of the show and helping me to get this off the ground. I cannot thank them enough. I'm so can't wait to see what 2024 brings. It's going to be a lot of fun. And those who have a chance, please go follow me on Instagram. We're going to be putting some of this adventure on there as well. My link is What's This Button Do Dustin down here below. Please go give me a follow over there, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have, any concerns, anything that you need to know. Please reach out. I want this to be an interactive show, so hit me up with anything that you want to know about or any questions that you have on any products we demo here, and I'm glad to help you out however I can. Thank you so much for coming out on this day after Christmas. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season. I hope you have a great new year, and I look forward to seeing you next year. Thank you. Have a great day. Take care.